Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of Tier by Tier. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Japanese reserve planes, right now flying out the Ki-10-1 in a realistic battle. This plane is kind of interesting because I've seen a lot of people sort of mention it as one of the worst of the reserve planes, which is interesting to me because I find it to be really, if not on par, or if not better than some of the other reserve planes, it's certainly on par with a lot of them. And I really enjoy flying this plane. I think it's pretty good. So before we get to the battle, a little bit of information about it. It was designed by Takeo Doi in 1935. The first prototypes are built in March and April of 1935. But starting with the third prototype, they did something a little bit different, and they exchanged the previous standard of the two-blade wooden propeller for a three-bladed metal one. And what this did is it really helped to increase the speed of the plane dramatically by allowing it to use, allowing it to better utilize the 850 horsepower engine that it was using, which was a Kawasaki Ha-9 2A. Bit of a mouthful. It was a license build of the German BMW 9 engine, and it certainly shows as far as acceleration and climb rate as compared to some of the other reserve planes, which I believe all the other reserve planes are two-blade propellers. But the reason why they did this was in response to a competition for the plane to be put into production by the Japanese Army Air Force, and they tried to close the speed gap between the Ki-10 and its main competitor, which was the Nakajima Ki-11, and the Ki-11 was a monoplane. So instead of being a biplane, it was one of the single-winged planes, which had superior speed. But the reason why they put the Ki-10 into production over the Ki-11 was because they really valued the biplane's maneuverability over just the flat-out top-end speed of the monoplane, because that's something that was really prized by the Japanese Air Force, and you can see it in their sort of design philosophy for later planes, things like the Zero. And let's see if we can take out this Catalina. That'll be a pain. Try not to get shot up by the gunner. But you can see its design philosophy later on with things like the Zero or the Ki-43, which are very, very good maneuvering planes. And it did win that competition. It was put into production in December of 1935, which I believe makes it the most modern of all of the reserve planes. But you can actually see a very similar design philosophy and approach towards aircraft and fighter aircraft if you look at the British planes, because you have things like the Hawker Hurricane, which initially was it had to be redesigned because they felt it was lacking in maneuverability despite its fairly good performance and speed. But then you see the later production planes for the British line, things like the Spitfires, which are notoriously good turn fighters. So it's very interesting to see that design philosophy sort of carry on in another area or another group. It is armed, as you can see, fairly lightly with two Type 87 7.7mm machine guns. It only has 900 rounds, so 450 per gun, which is the second lowest among all the reserve planes, just behind the American P-26A-34M2, I think, is the ridiculously long designation for that. But the difference is that plane has 500 rounds for a small caliber machine gun like these, and it also has 200 rounds for a 12.7mm Browning machine gun. So it's not really comparable in the same way. Trying to get those engines. I always find it a little difficult to take out the Catalina's engines because they are so close to the fuselage. Ooh, getting shot up by some gunners there. Ooh, maybe taking some shots from that gunner right on the wing there. But it is a very maneuverable plane. One thing I have noticed is that it loses speed in turns fairly quickly. Oh, got some wing damage. It's a little more substantial than I was expecting. I really don't want to come in from behind this PBY too much. But it does lose a bit of speed in turns, but because of that very heavy power plant that it has, the very powerful engine that it has, and that 3-blade propeller, it gains the speed back fairly well. But it also creates a slight problem, because one thing you have to worry about is, even though it is an all-metal design for the biplane, you still have to be careful because the power of the engine in a dive can really gain speed quickly, and you will quickly reach the point at which the plane becomes almost impossible to control. And I don't want to sit behind this thing. It becomes impossible to control, or you'll rip the wings, and that's definitely something you have to watch out for. I got another hit on that wing. Oh, I didn't know they. I thought below the Catalina was a blind spot, but apparently not. I don't know that I'll be able to take out this PBY with... Oh, I'm the last person left. This PBY with the very light armament of the Key 10. Try and fly under it and nose up at it. Yeah, wing damage is really causing issues now. Oh, killed a gunner, so that's nice. Some more shots in. I'm gonna try and take out. Jam the gun, so I'm gonna have to go and land. Whoa! Okay, this is gonna be an interesting landing. Do I have to land on a cruiser? No, there's a landing strip over there. So again, you see right there. Did they just crash into each other? I think 2 enemy planes just crashed into each other. So now there's only 2 left, maybe only 1 left. That'll be interesting to see. If I can land this thing, which is actually going to prove to be incredibly difficult with the wing damage here, and try and slow down as much as I can. Just kind of cruise in. I don't want to be going too fast. But as you can see, the armament is a little bit weak. Obviously, it's hard to test against something like the Catalina, which is just a big, huge tub of air that's very difficult to take down. But the armament's a little bit weak, and I guess that's why some people consider it to be not that great as compared to some of the other reserve planes. Which I suppose I understand. It's listing pretty hard to the right because of that wing damage, but hitting the brakes, we should be able to hold it. Alright. But I still find it to be... It still performs very well. I was not sure... Wait, what? Hang on. Alright, well apparently I've been shot down. We still have some AI, so hopefully they will survive. But the Key 10 is a good plane. It's a little bit difficult to fly because you really have to manage the speed. because again, that powerful engine causes some issues as far as whether or not you accelerate a little bit too fast in a shallow dive. You can probably see I've cut the engine a whole bunch. Yeah, I've cut the engine a whole bunch while making those dives in an attempt to sort of stop that problem. But it still does persist at times, so it's something to be careful of. It does turn very well. It loses speed in the turn fairly quickly. And let's see if I repair and rearm fast enough, or if it's going to consider this as lost vehicles. Nope, we're still good. Still good. Alright, so who do we have left? We only have one guy left, I think. So let's see if we can go take him out. I may cut the video here until we reach the battlefield. Alright, well, we're getting shot at by the destroyers here. They came out a little further than I thought they were going to, but we've got the what I believe is the bombing squad coming in, and hopefully that'll help us out a little bit as far as winning. Still haven't found this guy. I will continue to search. Hopefully I don't get shot down. Alright, well, it seems like at about 180 miles an hour, your wheel will come off. So that's obviously something to look out for. That's going to impact my flight characteristics a little bit. Probably going to wobble some. I still don't know where this guy is, and I don't want to fly over the hostile zone there, because it's got all those light pillboxes. Landing craft, but it's also got like the carriers, and the destroyers are probably somewhere close by, so at least within striking range. So we'll see if we can find this guy. There he is. He is way above us, and I can't dive away from him because I'm just not fast enough. I can't hold sustained speeds like he can. So I'm going to turn back towards him and hope he just overshoots. Maybe a weapon, try and gain some altitude. Unless he rolls over right here, in which case we could be done. Could be in trouble, yep. Here we go. I'm going to roll inside of him. Let him go over. He's going to try and roll back. But I think I'm far more maneuverable, so I can do that move much easier than he can. He's coming back again. Let's do it. Swing under him so he can't dive down on us. Try and regain that speed. If I can just do this over and over again, make him bleed enough speed and enough altitude, maybe I'll have a chance. I'm also going to try and get into a pattern of doing this so that hopefully he rolls sooner. It looks like he's just flying away at this point. Nope. Very long roll. I think he underestimates the overall top-end speed of this thing, even though I'm overheating my water at this point. I can just shallow dive a little bit, or at least level out. Probably maintain that distance. Try and let that water cool down. I'm actually gaining. He's probably trying to climb. Let's go ahead and climb with him. That's one really good thing about this plane, man. I mean, that's a P-36 right there, and I don't know what he's doing, but this thing is faster than most people give it credit for, so it can be dangerous if you underestimate it. All right, now he's starting to gain on us. I think he's leveled out. So we're up around 4,000, 4,100. We're going to level out too. I'm going to cool off that engine, hopefully. And he doesn't gain too fast. But we'll see. So I know I can't go head-on with him. I don't know what version of the P-36 that is. I think there's one that has 50 cals. The 12.7 millimeter machine guns. So I don't want to get into a head-on with that. Cut the engine throttle a little bit, maybe try and cool that water down quicker. I'm flying away from him at pretty decent speed. I wonder what he's up to. That means he's got to be up or down around 150. That doesn't seem like a reasonable speed to be going at in a P-36. We are now up, closing in on 5,000 meters, which is very, very high. And you can see just how quickly this thing gains altitude. Just about any throttle. I mean, throttle down even a little bit more, I can still gain altitude and maintain my speed. I know he wants me to turn around, so I'm going to do that. Real low speed and just go offset here. Maybe if I'm lucky, if I sweep over here, no, he's going to... sort of defensive roll, but he got the wing, so we're going to try and go opposite rudder. And, come on. There we go. Save the roll. Woo! Alright, now we're in trouble. Because now we've got that severe wing damage again. But I know I can dive pretty quickly, and if I can just keep up 250 in level flight, which I know this thing can do, maybe, just maybe, I can get into a situation that favors me, but at this point I don't think that's going to happen. But as you can see, other than the ill-advised head-on right there, that's really just my fault, all pilot error, this thing is competitive. Let's go ahead and do this. This thing can be competitive against the rest of Tier 1. And I don't even know what he's doing right now. Oh, he's in behind me again. Shallow dive. Maneuvering with this wing is just about impossible at this point. Come on. But if I can just swing this around nice and gentle. Maybe I can get back to those this is a little too fast. Come on. If I can maintain this speed, oh, he's coming up fast. He's going well above 300 right now. But I don't know how much he can sustain that dive. We'll have to see. Probably at least as well as I can. I know I lose speed in a turn faster than he does. Although he's slowing down on the gains, but it looks like he's just trying to raise up and get a little bit more dive speed one more time. are a ways away from, well, maybe not as far as I thought. So we got that carrier right there. Oh, he's hit me again. That's a long shot. Reduce speed. No, we gotta be reckless now. Oh, okay, no wheels. Up over 300 miles an hour, we're gonna come screaming in towards these planes here, these friendlies. And he's gonna be right on our tail. Let's see if any weird maneuvers will mess him up. Sort of maneuvers you can only do if you're severely lacking in wing stability. We dropped a whole lot of altitude very quickly right there. So I'm going to see if I can just hold him over this thing and hope that he gets shot down. Because even with this wing, I may be able to outmaneuver him. Oh, he's coming up fast now. So let's see. Come on. Nope. Come on. Oh, shoot, I'm not even locked onto him. Where is he? There he is. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He got more shots on me. Just want to stay close. Stay under him. Losing a lot of speed, though. I don't know that I can roll over. Come on, keep it up. Swing back over towards this thing. He's a ways away. This power plant, this engine, that 3-blade propeller, really helping out right now. And just hoping that he gets shot down. Water's overheated, but that's not really a concern right now. That's obviously going to happen. Oh, he might have been clipped by some flak right there. Hip. Come on, keep it up. Fly back. Oh, he's in danger. Just trying to take him out with that, because I know how quickly I can corner, and I don't think he'll be able to keep up. He'll have to really do some fancy flying in order to. Yeah, he's breaking off a little bit, seems like. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ooh. Oh, trying to get a deflection shot there. Just misses. And he crashed. There you go. So, Key 10. Using that superior mobility. The ability to maneuver very well as that high speed performance that it has. That should be all the enemy aircraft. Yep, there we go. No wheels, no chance to land, a severely damaged wing. But this thing is sufficient. Just sort of rope-a-dope them until you get a pilot error. All right, so let's move on to the next one and see what we can do with the other Japanese reserve planes. All right, so here we are flying out the Key 10-1C, and this match is probably going to be cut up a little bit more, only to give you the exciting stuff. The last match ran a little bit long, and there are no real differences between the Key 10-1 and the Key 10-1C. The only difference is that this is the command model, which means that it was installed with a radio, which is what you see right there, that little radio antenna. And as far as I can tell from flying it and looking up information, That is the only difference. So this should fly very similarly to the last plane that we flew out, and we'll see what we can do in this match with it. Okay, so we've got a lot of planes down there. Looks like we have at least a couple player planes. An I-16 popped up on me. Yep, there it is. Oh, well, he's been shot down, so I'm not sure quite what is back there. Oh, there's a MiG-3 behind us somehow. Hopefully those Key 43s will be able to take care of him. We will go after these, cut throttle here. We're going to go after these guys down here. I know at least one of them is a player plane, a couple of AI. And there we go. Got an I-15 down there. The I-15 should be a very interesting match for the Key 10. It's another one of those fairly good maneuvering planes. I'm not sure if it has better energy retention than the Key 10. It might, but I believe the Key 10 should have a better top speed, and I'm not sure that this guy even knows that we're here. So we got some pretty good speed coming up behind him, and we'll try and get some good shots off. I've got my convergence set to 300 meters, so start shooting about now. And, wow. Lots of shots, not a lot of damage. So it's an M22, it's one of the lower powered I-15s. So we should have no problem outrunning him. And the only issue we're going to have is if we get stuck behind him, or get stuck in front of him, or somehow get into a situation where he can use those, a little too much speed, use those for PV-1 machine guns on us. Looks like he might be, no, I thought he might be going down there, but I think he's just diving. Seems to be in pretty good control. Trying to get away from that Key 43, which he will not be able to do. The only way he may have a chance, yep, kill assist. So I was going to say the only way he may have a chance is trying to cut throttle a little bit and outmaneuver him, but in that situation a Key 43 can just sort of zoom away and resettle himself. So this was a fairly quick match. There's only one player left, along with the AI there. So like I said, the differences between the Key 10-1 and the Key 10-1C, really only that radio antenna, this being a command vehicle, as opposed to just a normal, or a regular pilot's, I suppose, would be the way to put it, plane. So we will hopefully see if we can just clean up this match, maybe go after some of these vehicles, but I don't know how much anti-air is over there, so I don't want to... there's an SB-2M around, and he seems like he's over there. I-15 was shot down, so let's go ahead and take out some of these vehicles. I don't see many anti-air things, if any. And we're gonna try and take out the vehicles, because they are... I don't know how these machine guns would perform against the armored cars, but taking out the vehicles should be fairly simple. Alright, well, we got some guys shooting at us. Gonna go head on with a truck. Oh, whoa, oh. I think I clipped my tail coming over that ridge. Interesting loop there, though. Keep flying. Come on, you got this. Land it. No. Alright. Well, that was me being dumb, but should win this match. Again, like I said, very similar plane, if not identical. There wouldn't be any real differences to speak of, and because that last match ran long, wanted to just get some short footage of this one. So now we're going to move on to the Key 10-2, which does have some significant differences, and we will show and talk about those in the next clip. So here we are flying out the Ki 10-2, which is the second production model of the Ki 10. And this was put into production in June of 1937 and continued until December of 1938. And some significant changes were made to the Ki 10 for this production model. There was a call for better lateral maneuverability, as we see some... Oh, thought there were enemies, but looks like it's just flak. As the Japanese pilots called for better lateral maneuverability, horizontal maneuverability, they increased the size of the upper wing to give it a better or a larger surface to increase the turn time and the turning ability of the Ki 10, which worked wonderfully. They also lengthened the fuselage by a little bit more than a foot, which increased the stability of the plane, the overall stability of the plane. And to counteract the increased drag from the larger surfaces, what they did was they smoothed out the finish of the plane. The original Ki 10, the Ki 10-1, had a rather rough finish to it, very heavy paint and finishing materials because of the way that they bent the duralumin frame in order to sort of smooth out the fuselage as best they could. They added very, very thick materials and paints and what have you. But they sort of decided to increase the quality of the production on the Ki 10-2 in order to counteract the additional drag made from the rougher surfaces of the Ki 10-1. And what ended up happening there is, because of the smoother surface of the fuselage, the drag that would have been added from the additional size of the plane was essentially nullified. So even though it uses the same engine as the 1, the 10-2 actually performs roughly the same as far as speed and so here we are flying out the Ki 10-2, which was the second production run of the Ki 10. We got a pea shooter down there. Gonna have to be a little bit careful, maybe climb a little bit. Try and avoid him sweeping up and getting some shots on us. And some significant changes were made between this and the 1. The two biggest changes that were made where they increased the size of the upper wing, because the Japanese pilots, in accordance with the general philosophy of Japanese aviation, were looking for better lateral maneuverability, better horizontal maneuverability. So they increased the size of the wing in order to get that. And they also increased the size of the fuselage. They lengthened the fuselage by a little bit more than a foot. Now, to counteract the additional drag that they would be getting from these changes, they increased the quality of their production. Now, the production on the initial Ki 10, the Ki 10-1, it had a very thick paint and finish material on it. So it wasn't exactly... I won't say that it wasn't smooth, but it was not of the best quality. So what they did was they increased the quality for this. They smoothed out the fuselage, basically making it better overall. And that almost completely counteracted the additional drag from the increased size of the wing and the fuselage, which allowed it to maintain most of its, if not all of its, performance as far as speed is concerned. But because the upper wing was so lengthened and given such greater size, I believe it went from 20 square meters to 23 square meters, the lateral maneuverability was much, much better. So what they ended up doing was making a plane that was significantly better in every way. Obviously, they kept the same engine that they had on the Ki 10-1, but by increasing the quality of the production, they allowed the additional weight and the additional drag to be nullified. So you should see, when flying this, very similar speed characteristics to the one, but you should also see much better turning ability, which is nice, very nice actually. The only other visual difference between this and the 10-1 is the addition of those wheel fairings. The Key 10-1 was made with wheel fairings, but it operated mostly on sort of impromptu airstrips, so they were more likely than not taken off as a result of that. One thing you still have to be careful of, even though it has those wheel fairings, the wheels do still rip off at about 280 or 290 miles per hour, which, as we've seen in the previous videos, is a very, very easily attainable speed in this plane. I'm trying to figure out where to go here. I think everybody's dropped off. I was a little bit nervous about that F2A coming up, but it seems like he's disappeared. So we're going to try and lose some altitude. But as you can see, the climb rate of this plane is actually incredibly good for a reserve plane. It kept its same Type 89 2 synchronous machine guns, so that remains unchanged. And overall it should perform roughly similar, but you may find the tighter turning circle could help a little bit. It still does have some slight problems in energy retention. It does not retain its energy very well. So you can see a significant drop in speed if you do sharp cornering like this. And so that is certainly something to look out for. But overall, still a very good plane. 8 Gs, 7 Gs. You can pull fairly high G-forces for a plane of this rank. And I think our buddy down here is getting attacked. Although there's a couple guys around here. I'm not sure how many of them, if any of them, are reserve or AI planes. So that's something to look out for. I'm not sure how helpful they'll be overall. So we got the P-26A here. We should be able to outperform it fairly easily. P-26 is not a good turning plane. So if we can get him to bleed some energy, we should have a fairly simple time of taking him down. Alright, well, let's go ahead and swing up around. And luckily with this... oh, I guess I got the kill on that, even though I only hit him once. But as you can see, the performance of this plane, very good. The acceleration at just about any altitude is very impressive. Its ability to climb is very impressive. Although now we're probably going to have quite a few planes significantly above us. Or perhaps not. So we got two players still flying around somewhere. Kind of concerned about these F6Fs. I don't really want to sort of fly through here, but we take a couple shots on the Hellcats and then zoom off, because even though I said this is a nice plane, it's not a Hellcat, so you got to be careful. Even though they are AI, I just don't want to be dealing with those. Okay, so we got the F2A down over there. Let's I guess follow the Hellcats and take this guy out and try and gain some altitude here as well. We got somebody critically damaged by the Gladiator. Oh, the Hellcat has, or the F2A has crashed. So that's nice. Don't have to worry about him. Got a whole bunch of swarming AI going after that F6F. And let's see. It's hard to tell. I know somebody was just shot down by the other player, but I don't know where they are. The enemy player there. So that's going to be something to watch out for. But as you can see, we're climbing right here at 207 miles per hour. Not a fast climb as far as altitude gain is concerned, but maintaining a very good overall speed, which is very important. Probably close to as important as oh, somebody's capturing A. Close to as important as the altitude that we have. It's all about energy, and because this thing doesn't retain its energy very well, I want to try and keep up as much speed as I can. So we'll have to see what we've got going for these F6Fs, and maybe swing back around, go back over towards A. Although they don't seem to be terribly... I want to avoid them, though. Don't want to go head on. They don't seem to be terribly well flown. But there are a lot of them, and that could pose some issues. All right, come on. I can't tell if he's going down or if he's just turning. I think he's just turning. Yep. The roll rate on the Key 10 is fairly good. You might see a couple other reserve planes roll slightly better. You'll see the I-15s roll better than the Key 10. But it is very stable in its rolls, so that's one really nice thing about this plane. I'm just gonna kind of stay over here until I lost this guy. Until we can figure out what's up with the other player. Oh, well, it looks like he's crashed, so that is a victory for us. But as you can see, the lateral movement, the ability to die, doesn't matter. The lateral movement, the ability to turn, is very good on the Key 10 too. It is a very nice plane. It's a good plane to fly. You might have some learning curve with it as far as gaining and losing altitude. You really have to watch how fast you go when you start to dive, because again, the power plant on this thing is 850 horsepower engine. Very, very powerful, very easy to over-accelerate, rip your wings, tear off some landing gear. It's easy to get this thing into trouble. But if you can manage that, if you can keep that under control, a very good plane, very serviceable plane, nice to fly, probably one of my favorite reserve planes to fly, probably just behind the Fury Mark II is one of my favorites. Very nice plane. Give it a shot, give it a try, and we will see how it compares to the rest of the reserve planes as we finish out our video series on these very first planes in War Thunder. So thank you guys for coming out, for watching. Sorry, my piloting skills were rather subpar for the most of this video, but simple mistakes have been made. But take care, enjoy yourselves, hope to see you next time, and again, thank you for coming out.